All right, so we have a pretty heckin' big presentation today because V5, the last V5 selfie thing we did was like, gads, it had only been out for like, what, a week? Maybe, not even like public release, not even a week yet. So last time what we did was we kind of went over like, this is what we've learned so far versus this is what works and what doesn't and why. Hello, y'alls. What's up? Tomato Leaf, bro, you have corrupted my kin. I want you to know that. He's been going on all morning about freaking serenading vegetables in the produce aisle. And I fully blame you for that. He's pretty excited about it, though, and he has decided that Adrian Brody needs to play piano on his song. I don't know. It's crazy, bro. So, yeah, last week... Hold on, let me do a little quick adjustment here. As you should. I made you a new emoji and everything, and you gotta corrupt my demon. So, last week we had... I think our PDF was like maybe 9 or 10 slides. Yeah, this week we're at 19. All right, there's a lot. So, yeah, we should probably think about getting started. So we're gonna probably be here a second. So that's cool though. Please go, right? Bless. Okay. I know, right? For real. Ready to fight a server rack? Yeah, kick some bass, yo. So, okay, we're gonna cover a lot in this one. We're gonna go over basically like start to finish, some problems that we've seen, and some information, like some concepts that are floating around but not very well defined by the user guide. Now, I'm not one to rag on the user guide. That's a lie. I try not to rag on the user guide. However, it's very like wall of text, which for me is really hard to follow. It's really hard to absorb. So I try to kind of take some of what the user guide says because the information is valuable, but also put it into words that like casual users will understand, and also like slide in some information that actually works. So, oh gosh, dude, yes, I need the pictures because they help like smash the knowledge in, like I associate the concept with the image. This also works with music. If y'all need a study concept, listen to a song on repeat when you're trying to learn something. It works. All right, so maximizing custom selfies and avatars in Kindroid V5. How to get the best look for your Kindroid. Here we go. Strap in. Oh, Cyber Empath, you're one of those folks that I just don't understand. Okay, good to know. Welcome. We will cover how V5 avatars are different than V4, writing better avatar descriptions for accuracy, which we did do like a while back, but we're going to go over it again. Using face detail and avatar boost correctly, what seeds are and how to use them, and fixing common avatar issues. So the biggest gripe that we all see is my kin doesn't look like they're supposed to. We'll get there. I know, right? It should be. It totally should be. I love that so much. Okay, so what's changed in V5? I don't know how many, I mean, I know a lot of us were here for the V3 to V4 transition. I feel like V4 to 5 is a little bit more of a jolt than the 3 to 4 was, because 3 to 4 used the same background process. Like the prompting was very similar. I think V4 introduced the ability to use artists, but the prompting was the same. The lighting was very similar. All it did was add depth and realism. Like, rather than having the over face tuned images, you had actual definition in the face, definition in the bod. And then you could get a lot more consistent styles out of it. V4 to V5 is a whole different hecking beast. Number one, it is a vastly different system. So what they will call a V4 system is a stable diffusion, which is a completely different AI than a flux system, which is what V5 is. They perform differently. If you go, damn it, I should have prepped this, but I didn't. I have a program that I use that I think I showcased on here once called OpenArt that it works with stable diffusion. It works with flux. I could put the exact same request into stable diffusion and in flux and get two completely different images. That's how different V4 to V5 is. So basically, I feel like if someone comes into Kindroid now, like right now, they're going to look at V5 and go, this is the best thing ever. They're going to look at V4 and say, this looks like when Facetune first came out and everyone was like over processing, like no one had any facial skin texture. Everybody's teeth were blazing white. Their eyes were glowing. Do y'all remember that phase? That was like, I want to say like 2010-esque. Maybe a little 2012-esque. It was scary. Anyways, that's what, so someone coming into V5 now, they're going to look at the old stuff and go, that's bass. This is good. Whereas somebody who was with V4 and V3, they're looking at V5 and going, why are these so dark? Why are they so, like shadowed? Why can't I do this? I don't want to be that asshole, but I'm gonna be that asshole because like that's why y'all are here to hear it. Is you get so used to doing things one way that when something has such a massive shift, you instantly rebel against it. I feel you. When they switched Photoshop from the program to the cloud, ooh, I fought that hard. I didn't care for that at all. And I was the one, let's really go for broke here. I was the one who held on to my cassette because I didn't want to switch to CDs. Okay. However, I was also one to ditch the CDs and go straight to digital because I don't want to keep shit around. Just saying. Elaine, what's up? So yeah, I feel like half the problem, if not more, okay, going from V4 to V5 is preconceived in your head what your pictures need to look like. Chair adjust. Oh, it so is, Jim. It so is, but you get my point. But once you, so here's how it went down for me. I was on the closed beta with the mod team, right? And me and Anna Q on Discord, she and I kind of had our own little pod going where we were testing stuff, seeing what worked. And within, I want to say, gosh, I wish she was here. I want to say within 3 days, she and I had, because we were trying to learn, I was trying to learn it as not only a user, but also as a prompt crafter, because I needed to know how to prompt for this for when the switch happened. But within 3 days, I remember switching back to V4 to actually run prompts for prompt crafting and thinking, damn, this looks like bass. And that's when it hit me. I was like, I got used to seeing the new way. So now the old way looks old. So that I feel like is the biggest thing that people are struggling. I don't want to say biggest, and I'm not trying to put words in somebody's mouth. I never plugged that in. Oh, shit. But people are often not giving it enough of a chance because they see a handful of selfies and say, that's not right. And then just get mad. Which, fair. Everybody has their own tolerance level. But having the I have to do it, for me, made it a lot easier of a transition because there really wasn't an option. It was learn it or They was just learn it. So that's what I did. So, okay. Now we can actually look at the slide, right? I told you this was going to be a long one. So, major differences from V4. Less reliance on the image, more on the description. And this is, I want to say, the way that Jerry put this to the masses in the Jerry talk when V5 was first talked about, like when it was a thing that was coming, not just a concept on the horizon. I feel like he gave this a little too much weight, because you can have a dead ass on description and a photograph that doesn't match, and it's not going to look like your kin. So while it's not as strong as it was in V4 to have a really good avatar photograph, it's still necessary. You cannot get by with a half-assed image and a great description. Like, he kind of undersold it, right? You have to have both. Gotta have both. Oh, that's interesting, Tomato Leaf. Tomato Leaf says it's not documented, but V5 anime doesn't use the image at all. Yeah, is that confirmed? Like, what's the deal with that? I hadn't heard that. That explains a lot of it's true, right? We'll wait on that because I haven't heard that either, so I don't want to go full send. So, face detail by default now in V5 is set to 0 instead of the 50% that it is set to in V4. This is just a slider, y'all. It's movable. Prompting now uses full sentences, not comma-separated keywords. Avatar boosts are introduced for added consistency, not available in V4. And so what this means, your description matters more than ever. And this is also true. Did he? Tomato Leaf, you need to get me some notes on that. Oh, Smoke. Yeah. Okay. Smoke says, I've shot for both, but then again, I'm weird. And if it's not perfect, I'm redoing it until I like the damn thing. Yup. Yup. Oh, look who walked in. Thanks a lot, Crystal. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of moving parts now with selfies in V5 that we didn't have in V4, such as the actual, like, we have space for an avatar description now. Somebody help me out on this. Wasn't it 200 characters it was limited to in V4? I feel like it was just, I know it was just a little box, but I feel like it was really small. Now it's 800. But I want to say, y'all, well, I'll cover this right here. Writing a great avatar description. Good descriptions use natural language. But, and this is where I'm going to interject this. Oh, it was 500. Cool. Like a response directive, okay? Like a response directive, this avatar description box functions the exact same way. In a response directive, which is 150 characters, if you cram that so full of different little pieces of information or instruction, each one carries less weight. So if you put a character limiter and you put a tense, like first person, second person, and a present tense, past tense, like if you put like 6 things in there, then all 6 of those things are taking up this much space, right? This is 6. But if you put like 3 things in there, it's 3 laser-powered hits as opposed to 6 weaker hits, right? Avatar description is the exact same. So you don't need to describe. Y'all, listen to this. Everybody who might be rewatching this on YouTube, who might be newer to this, for feck's sake, don't describe environment, don't describe posing, don't describe your kin's personality, and unless you want your kin to constantly be wearing something, don't describe clothing preferences either. The reason being is that this description is your 1-2 punch for what your kin is supposed to look like consistently, not in a one-off. A prompt for an image is a one-off. The avatar description is constant and consistent. I'm going to give you a hint on this, okay? So I was doing, I was doing a test kin last week, I think it was, and it caught me off guard because I was just like, put it in, whatever, wasn't paying attention. I was just describing the image. My stupid ass. So I described the clothing preference, like this kin in particular, the person wanted her to have like a bohemian style that she stuck to, which you can do. So I was like, okay, cool. So I'm describing the image, and I literally put in there that she had her hand up, hand resting on her chin, right? Didn't even occur to me because I'm just type. And I kept rolling photos that had her arm up. And I was like, what the hell is wrong with her? So I was scouring every prompt, looking at her photo, blah, blah, blah. This went on for like 7 or 8 selfies. And I finally went, wait a minute. Went back to the avatar description, and sure as shit, I had described her like this, with her hand resting on her arm or on her face. And I was like, son of a bitch. Even when I when I prompted that she was crossing her arms like this, the avatar description outweighed that. So make sure you don't describe like a pose or something immobile, like always wears or is wearing a tracksuit or wearing swimwear, unless you want that to be always what they wear. So if your kin, say, has a, for lack of a better phrase, costume, like if you have like a kin who's always in like a tack suit, or you have a kin who's always in like, I don't know, battle armor or whatever, that's different. You can do that. You don't need to, but you can. But if it's just a casual kin, don't do that. It's not the play. So what you do want to do, okay? Describe skin tone, hairstyle, hair color, body shape, and features. Avoid list of keywords, short descriptions, and vague terms. Use full sentences that a human would understand. So you want to, like, if you were sitting down describing someone to somebody else, you're not going to sit there and say, well, freckles, 1.2, insert modifiers here. Y'all know where that's going. But you wouldn't say like long hair, period, blue eyes, period. You would say so-and-so has this, this, and this, right? So that is how narrative prompting works, which is what Flux understands. But again, you don't need a full ass, 7 to 12 word sentence to describe hair. So let's go here. So use full sentences for best results. She has shoulder-length, wavy auburn hair that frames her heart-shaped face. Her skin is lightly freckled, and her emerald green eyes have a warm, friendly gaze. She is of average height with an athletic build, and she wears a dark leather jacket over a simple white shirt. This is what I was saying before. If your kin has a look that you want consistent, include the look. Don't add that if you don't want them to have that. But shoulder-length, wavy, auburn hair is one sentence. You don't need to do, she has shoulder-length hair. Her hair is auburn. Her hair is wavy. One sentence, cram them in there. That's just what you need. So why this works. Uses natural language, reads like a real description, includes specific details, hair length, face shape, freckles, outfit, if needed. Avoids keyword spam, no unnatural lists. Now, I do want to say, because this will come up, there are some instances where a V4 style description will still read. Oftentimes, these don't have weights in them. If you've ever rolled a prompt in V5 and seen like a face that looks like it was erased partially with a pencil eraser, that's often when there are weights or descriptions in the avatar description that V5 can't read. It doesn't know what to do with it. And conversely, if you try to use a narrative description into V4, you could end up with those images that are just like, there's nothing to see, like the static from the TV. I'm sure y'all have seen it, but it's just like a blank image. That's a V4 not knowing what to do with a V5 prompt. Do green eyes actually work for anyone? Green seems to only net you gray, and the more you weigh it, the weirder eyes will look while still being gray. Hold on, Jim, we're going to cover that. what uses too many characters, Mark? You have up to 800 at this point. I'm not saying you can't fill that. I'm saying fill it smart. V5, when it comes to prompting, as far as avatar description goes, while always less is more, accurate is better than half-assed. I get Elsie to have green eyes pretty regularly, but that was part of her boosting. Yeah, we're going to get to that too. Okay, let's go here. Don't use keyword lists or vague descriptions. Red hair, freckles, green eyes, jacket, athletic, pretty, young, slim, jeans, happy. No. What's wrong? V5 is built on a flex engine that is narrative-based rather than keyword-based, like we covered before. Missing sentence structure, making the AI guess at connections. So this could be, as far as the engine sees, okay, athletic jacket or athletic jeans. It's not saying athletic body, right? It's not saying, it's not connecting the words together. It's just throwing words at the engine and saying, here, put this together. And as we know, that doesn't always go together in the right order. Okay, so let's see. Missing sentence structure, I already said that, could result in randomized features instead of a cohesive look. So again, this is like, if you want her to have freckles on her face, this description does not give the engine that. If you want her to have, like, okay, see here, athletic, pretty, young, slim jeans. That could be current jeans, slim fit jeans. Do you see what I mean? You want to give it, hold on, Mark, we're going to get there. You want to give it literal what you want in a sentence structure, not just throwing words at it. So here's the next one. Pro tips for writing better descriptions. This is your list of shit that you want to include in your avatar description. Hair, and this can be one sentence, length, style, and color. So Kin has very long rainbow hair that is cut in layers, right? That's one sentence, but it describes the hair. Kin has a short platinum spiky pixie cut. Kin has medium length, dark brown hair. You see what I mean? You want to have all of that in one sentence. Face, shape, including features like freckles, dimples, and scars, right? So if your Kin has, say, an oval face with deep set eyes and wrinkles, right? That is one sentence. You always want to describe one thing at a time. Like the face is one sentence. The hair is one sentence. Body. Do you see what I mean? Think sentences rather than throwing keywords at it, because you want to tell the engine the hair is this length, not the jeans, right? Body type. And this will come back to again later, but slim, muscular, petite, curvy, any number of descriptive words here, but don't go overboard. Okay. You don't need to say that this Kin is like waif-like and petite. Okay. You don't need to say that the Kin is athletic and toned. Pick one. Remember, we're shoot straight. Don't flower. So then if you want it, like I said, clothing and accessories, jacket, dress, glasses, jewelry. Remember, putting this in the avatar description will ensure that it shows in every image. Style might be better here. Is this Kin dressing always casual, formal, semi-formal, military, right? This is what I use this for if I have a Kin who is consistently dressing in a certain way. Kincaid, for example, I have that she wears tattered, ragged clothing. So if I run a prompt with her that has a beautiful prom dress, on her, it's going to be a ripped and tattered prom dress, right? Style, in my opinion, is a better choice to put here rather than this outfit, unless your Kin is always in that outfit. And that's a point for like pre-existing characters. Like, say, if you have a favorite character from a film or a game or something, if they always dress in this, that's where you want to put it. Okay, let's see what we got. I feel like half the body shape descriptors trigger Pixar effect for me. Yep. Okay. Now we're going to come at boosts. Using avatar boost correctly. Avatar boosts help retain consistency when generating selfies. There's a little bit of question here, okay? But we'll cover it. So use at least 4 images that represent the look you want, okay? Apply at moderate weights to avoid bleeding into other avatars in group photos. Note, avatar boosts aren't meant to replace a good avatar description. While boosts are necessary at times, getting it right in the avatar description will give you the greatest freedom with selfies and prompts. So for y'all who have seen some of our previous streams here where we covered, because we did a full ass avatar boost stream a couple of weeks back, and I showed that I can get Kincaid, my one with the branch alien one, I can get Kincaid solid with an avatar description alone. And by doing that, I can get group selfies with her. So I could put myself in an image with her, neither of us boosted. But the second I put a boost on her, she starts bleeding into anyone else in the image. So I end up with the branches on the hair, and I end up with like large alien type eyes, and she will in turn take on more human flesh features rather than her bark skin that she's supposed to have. So, like I said, some kins, you just can't get there without a boost. Looking at you, Orkerson, he refused to go into V5. God, y'all, that was a fight and a half. But the second I stuck a boost on him, he's been consistent ever since. So some do require it, and I do not discount that. But if you can get away with not using one, you're gonna save yourself issues later when it comes to trying to run prompts, either prompts that you write or prompts that other folks write, and with group selfies not having as much of a bleed effect. Another good example of that is Not Celine, my kin with the rainbow hair. She's boosted because of her hair. Without the boost, her hair kind of looks like if you had like your hair rainbow dyed, but then you washed it for 2 months, so it's all like faded and gross. That's what it looks like if I don't have her boosted, and that's just not a good look. So, but because she's boosted, her hair will bleed onto other kins. A not foolproof but helpful trick is to put her on the right of the frame, because bleeds, I've noticed, tend to bleed from left to right. So if I put her on the right, while she takes my glasses, because my glasses also bleed left to right, I don't take her hair as often, which I can deal with that. So, like I said, sometimes you have to boost. But if you can get it right without, you save yourself the headache of that. Now, if you don't do group photos very much, feck it, go nuts. But I'll also say, with a human kin, right? One that doesn't have rainbow hair, one that doesn't have, cryptid features, stuff like that. If you find that you still need a boost, start lower. Always go lower. I would say probably start at a 0.2, run a few selfies, see if you're satisfied. If you have to bump up to a 0.25 or a 0.3, do it. But just try, right? Try. Because bleed happens with a boost regardless of where you have that dial. Now, is it more so with the dial higher? Absolutely, but you'll still see it. And then when it comes to creating your boost, all right, like I said, we did cover this before, so I'm not going to go into too big a detail. But back then, you could only do 4 images to get your boost. Now you can do up to 16. So I want to say 2 things on this. Number 1, you don't need 16, okay? Don't feel like you have to throw 16 images in there to get a good boost. You can get a good boost with 4. The trick is, number 1, don't settle, okay? And there's number 2, if you're coming from V4 and you're like, I want my kin to look exactly like they did in V4, for feck's sake, don't use V5 selfies to make your boost. Use whatever images you feel best look like your kin, okay? And you want to include 2 face, 2 full, all right? Now, when I say full, it doesn't have to be head to toe. If your kin has a strange or exaggerated body shape, consider at least one full body, but a 3/4 is usually enough. But make sure that the images that you're using accurately represent what you want your kin to look like. Don't throw one in there that's okay because you just want to get it done. Take some extra time, roll a few selfies in the engine of your choice, and see if you can get that perfect money shot to make that quad or more, depending on your choice, but to make that really be what you want your kin to look like, because that does matter. Okay. I'm trying couples and trios today. A boost bleeds even at low level. Yes. Yes, it does. With Kincaid, I saw bleed down at 1.10 and at I think I tested it up to 0.9. At 0.9, like, I had 2 aliens, right? So it's lower is better, but boosts by nature have bleed because they are adding these specific features to the image. And that's the nature of how it goes. If you have something that you're so dead set it has to be this thing, then use the boost. But just know you're trading off for something else. So like with Orkerson, I have to use the boost. If I want him to look like himself and not a dinosaur version or whatever that demon thing was that we saw, he has to look like himself. So let's see. What Jerry said is that face detail enhance doesn't work in anime. There you go. Okay. We're going to get to seeds too. If you dial down the boost like 0.25, honestly, like I said, for human kins, that around 0.2 to 0.4 seems to be an adequate spot in my experience. But also too, I recognize that people, right? People, not just kins, everybody looks a little bit different in different lighting, in different settings, in different clothing. You have to understand that. I wish I had. Oh my gosh. Wait, hold on. Back when V4 came out, okay, I remember this was a huge fight because people were like, my kin doesn't look right. My kin doesn't look right. And because they were so used to the face tuned look that I was talking about before. What? Yes, this is me. Let me in. Let me in. Oh, hell. Trying to log into... Balls! Okay, we'll come back to that. Anyways, so what I had done was I had grabbed 4 photos of myself that were taken in different lighting with different, like, in one I think I had makeup on, one I didn't, one I was outside, one I looked like a dinosaur because I had just gotten out of bed. Like, I put these together in a quad to show these all look very different, but it's all still me. And that's what you need to remember when you're doing hecking selfies above V3. All right, V3, it would look like the same person in every one because there was very little variation in lighting or in expression. V4 introduced those things and people lost their damn minds. V5 introduces realism and variation is realistic. So, dang it, I wish I had the, I don't have my light. Hold on. I don't even have it right there. Damn it. Oh, wait. Okay, hold on. Here we go. I'm gonna show you the horrific lighting circle here. Look at how different my face can look depending on where the light's coming from. Right up the nose shot for you. See? This is what lighting is supposed to do. And this is what photographers intentionally use lighting for because certain lighting scenarios make people look better. Some certain lighting scenarios, like that one from straight up the nose, that makes you look worse. So just keep that in mind too. This kind of goes into what I had said at the very beginning about you have to sit with it and get used to looking at the differences before you can really judge if it's good or not, just because it is so vastly different. All right, let's see. I'm going to have to go through and see where my kins are on the boost now that I'm thinking of this. I know, I do too. I only have 2 kins boosted. I have Orkerson, which we know, and then I have Not Celine boosted too because of her hair, like I said. But I think she might even be a little bit high. I haven't looked in a minute. I need to do that. All right, next up. Fixing common avatar problems. Problem. Selfies don't match avatar. Rewrite the avatar description clearly. Avatar description, okay? Avatar description, that little box, does not need to have weights. It does not need to have keywords, like we said before. You want to make sure it is natural speaking phrases. Ask GPT for help if needed. Take your photo, your perfect kin image, slap it into GPT and say, please provide me a 400 character flux narrative description of this person. Avoid including environment or clothing. Try that, because that's going to give you a base that you can work from. Like if it comes back with has their arms up like this, take that out, right? Just go with the description it gives you, run a few selfies, see what works and what doesn't. I know people don't really want to hear this, but it's not plug and play. V3 is plug and play. V4 sort of is. V5 is not. You have to put some work into V5 if you want it to work for you. I feel like this is kind of why Jerry said that V5 is more for power users, because power users are the ones who are going to go in and be like, I'm going to figure this shit out. I'm just stubborn is all. Weird facial distortions. All right. If you've seen like I get this quite a bit where it tries to put my glasses in, but doesn't want to show my glasses. So I get like these like lines right here. Anything that is, you're using words like doll, anime, porcelain, you're gonna get that really sketchy face, like that almost like pointy chin, kind of like Victoria from The Corpse Bride, which I feel like that's a look of its own, but not the look we're going for. Long necks, which we've seen. Slender is a big, big culprit of that. Illustration is another. Illustration is also problematic for the weird facial distortion. So if you see a prompt or you're writing a prompt that says illustration in it, you could end up with that long giraffe neck look. And you can also end up with that like, it's almost like a cross between hand-drawn and a photograph, but it's not quite either, and it just looks weird. That's what that is. Blurry faces. Blurry faces are a hallmark of a very low facial detail slider. Can confirm this is true. Before avatar boosts were a thing, I had to have my kin's facial detail sliders very low. And I'm thinking of Not Celine because she's the one who I have boosted, but I had to have her facial detail slider very low. But once I got her boosted properly, I was able to raise that up, and now her, and I'm not talking like a this close up, I'm talking like a good headshot, is not as blurry anymore. There will always be a little bit of blur if that line, that facial detail slider line, is below 30. My sock is falling down. Hold on. No, boosts do not work for couples. They are for singles only. And they also do not work in V4. Boosts are only for V5. Yeah, blurry faces were my bane too. Until, like I said, I sat with it for a minute and really figured, okay, this is still what my kin looks like. It's just different settings, different environments. And then I was able to slowly work those sliders up a little bit. So definitely, if blurry faces are being a expletive to you, try to incrementally raise that up a little bit and see if it helps, because it did help for me. Speaking of, mastering the face detail slider and the face prompt. What is a face detail slider? This adjusts how closely your Kindroid follows your avatar image. It controls face detail level, sharpness, like we just talked about, small features, and expression clarity. This is only available in Photoreal V5. This is what Tomato Leaf was saying. This slider's not available in anime because it's really not relevant. But if you, this is where your green eyes thing is coming in. This is where any heterochromia is coming in. And this is where the facial blur thing that we're talking about is coming in. If you have this slider low, you're taking away these details that you want to have. If you raise that slider up to, I think he said at least 30%, then you're going to start to see things like freckles, scars, the correct eye colors, and things like that. I'm going to take 10 selfies of myself today. My current avatar photo is a year or two old. I've always had issues with myself, so a boost might help a lot. Yeah, you can boost yourself. You can use a user selfie boost. You don't need a self-kin slot for that. Under where you upload your own avatar photo, scroll down if you're on V5, and there's an option to boost yourself. Yeah, Jim, exactly. Before boosting, this is what I was saying earlier. Before boosting, people were saying that the more they raise this up, the less your kin look like you, and that is look like them. And that is true because it raises up detail, but at the expense of consistent face. All right. So if you take, this is what Jerry was saying in that Jer talk forever ago. If you keep your facial slider in V5 at 0, you're looking at V3 quality, right? Which, as we know, is the overtuned, I'm a 50-year-old aunt trying to look 20 look. So having that up is preferable, but having it up at the expense of what your kin is supposed to look like, most people can't hang with that. So having a boost in place will let you raise that a little bit higher, which will give you those details, take away some of that blurriness, but still keep a consistent face. Again, at the expense of freedom of prompting. Okay? It's all a give and take. What's more important to you? Understanding face detail values. All right? Face detail percentage and its effect. At 0, maximum accuracy to your uploaded image. Okay? So I'm going to be this bass again. If you have a shit avatar description, but have your face detail at 0, you're going to say, hey, this sort of looks like my kin. All right? This slider at 0 kind of gives you a bit of a pass on what your avatar description is. It's not good, but it's an option. So better to have an accurate description and raise that up a little bit. Between 10 and 30%. Small tweaks. Add some face detail without big changes. This is where the majority of my kin sit. Without a boost, I don't have a single kin over 22%, I want to say. Because like there are some that have, like if you have a kin with like a beard, like a full beard, having this slider too low is going to make it look like a fake beard. Raising that up is going to give the natural facial texture. And then also be able to have like the freckles, the lines, like if your kin has lines on their face, you know, stuff like that. 30 to 50. All right. This is where they say is good to have. This is going to give you more detailed skin, sharper features, which is best for freckles and scars. This is also where they claim is the sweet spot for green eyes. All right. So, 30 to 50%. If you go above 50, I don't give a shit how boosted you are. If you feel like speed, stay below 50. But now if you go above 50, you're going to start to see kins that are not yours, period. I don't give a shit how boosted you are. It's not going to be the play. So rule of thumb, keep it below 30% for accuracy. Raise it only if you need extra detail. Y'alls. But I feel like a lot of it is the pickiness. Like how picky you are that they look exactly the same in every photo is going to really put into play where you fall on this slider scale. And it's going to be different for each kin. Like I said, V5 is not plug and play. You have to dial it in for each kin. And for those of you with like 17,000 kin shares, good luck. All right. When to use a face prompt. Okay. This is the facial detail box beneath this slider for face detail. Okay. If you want specific face details, example, freckles, bright eye colors, dimples. Now this box is only here for photoreal V5. It's not here for anime. And it's best used when your face detail is at least 30% Otherwise, it might not apply what's in that box. Now, I want to say this too, and I've seen people do this, excuse me. In that box does not need to be hair, body, clothing, personality, shoes, face. Detail means face, eyes, shape, if you need shape, specific features like, I don't know, a mole, whatever. This is just for the face. This is not for the head, okay? Don't include hair, don't include earrings. If there's a facial piercing, yeah, slap that bad boy in there, but not for hairstyles or anything like that. Face prompt best practices. The exception to the rule, okay? And I kind of laughed at this. I mean, you can put them in there, tomato leaf, but I don't think that's going to be the best place for it. You might want to put that in the garbage. So the exception to the rule of prompting in V5 only exists in that little box and in the avatar generator, which we're not covering in this because that's a whole different thing. But in this little box is the only place you want to use weights, okay? This uses keywords, not sentences. Keep weights low. Don't go nuts with this crud. And keep them low to avoid over-exaggeration. Example prompts: freckles, 1.2, dimples, 1.3, bright green eyes, 1.4. Soft smile, blah, 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 blah. Avoid overloading the prompt. Too many features at high weights will give you distorted faces. This is where you pick what's important, y'all. You don't need to weight almond-shaped eyes. The engine knows what that looks like. You do not need to weight heart-shaped face, oval-shaped face, structured jaw. Don't weight that. This is for shit that is not working with a properly written avatar description. So if you've written a banging avatar description and it's still not giving your kin the freckles that you want, then put that in here with a low weight and test. Testing, I feel like, is a fail point for some people because they put it in there and expect that it's gonna work, and when it doesn't, they're like, well, this doesn't work, so then they stop trying. Yes, you can go over avatar description weights. They don't hold the value in V5 that they do in V4. In V4, and even in the avatar generator, in V4, that's how you get what you want, right? That's how you had to do it. In V5, you don't do that because you're going to overweight. Like, in V5, they say you cannot overweight. Like, you can always add higher, 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 which is true. However, you're going to see distortions, and you're going to see, like, you ever rolled a selfie and you're like, who the hell even is that? And there's not, like, a random poster in the background with your kin's face on it. Just like a random, like, it's like a crunched up face, or it's just somebody totally different. High weights can do that, period. You don't need avatar weights or avatar description weights, period. Don't do it. If you have to weight something in the face, do it in that box and keep it low. You don't need to go high. Yeah, they do, Jim. I have a kin who has crimson hair on one side and white on the other side with no weights in the avatar description. Not a single one. It's all in how you phrase it and if you double it up in a prompt. So, like, if I have this kin, y'all have seen her. I think I made her on here. But with that kin, if I go into a prompt with her and it's like hair blowing in the wind, I will say split dye crimson and white hair blowing in the wind and get it nailed every single time. So you don't have to have it in the avatar description if you double down in your prompt. All right. Now we're going to get into what I think is one of the most misunderstood features of V5. Seeds. Okay. What is a seed in Kindroid V5? A seed is a unique signature for an image. Every AI-generated selfie starts from a specific seed value. Reusing a seed plus the same prompt, okay? In other words, you just don't change anything, equals the same image. So if you take and say copy seed, rerun the prompt and paste that seed, nothing in that image should change. You're going to end up with the same kin, same face, same pose, same background, because you're running the exact same image twice. Changing a part of the prompt with the same seed keeps the majority of the composition intact while making small changes. That is what a seed is for. Think of a seed like a recipe. If you use the same ingredients and steps, you get the same dish. If you tweak one ingredient, the dish will taste slightly different. Hers works in autos too, Jim. We need to get together on that. Okay. How to copy and use a seed. All right, steps to copy and reuse. So if you make a selfie in V5, you don't have to request that it create a seed. It does it automatically. Click the triple dot menu in the top left corner of the selected selfie, and then you'll see copy seed or delete selfie. Copy the seed. Start a new selfie request and paste the seed in the drop-down menu at the bottom under, I think it's advanced or advanced options, one of those two. And then adjust the prompt for your small changes. Pro tip, with inpainting, editing a selfie has its own seed. So if you create an image, you can use the original selfie seed for minimal changes or the inpainting seed to refine an area. Yeah, if you hit delete selfie, that's a totally different problem. Don't do that. Or do if it sucks, you know. If it's not salvageable, see ya. All right. Smoke. You suck. Okay. Best uses for seeds. When to use a seed. If you want to keep the facial structure and expression consistent, making a small outfit, background, or lighting change while keeping the same face. Avoiding randomized results when tweaking minor details. For example, say this picture of not Celine up here at the top. If I wanted to make an adjustment so that maybe she's got a different screen on her computer, it would keep her the same, the background the same, the lighting the same, and I could just change that one thing. That's what a seed does. When to not use a seed is if you're wanting a completely new selfie. Okay, you don't want to use the same scene of not Celine sitting at her computer. You want something totally different. If you want a completely new selfie, using the same seed with the same prompt gives you the exact same image again. Nice space, Jenna. We'll pretend that's not there. If you're reusing a prompt from an open selfie via the icon at the top, this does not reuse the seed, so you're going to get a fresh result. In other words, you know how when you go to rerun a selfie, there's that little like circular arrow at the top? That's just do this again. That's not use this seed to do it again. You have to copy and paste the seed if you want it to run the exact same prompt again. Pro tip. Change one small detail in the prompt while using the same seed to create slightly different versions of the same selfie. That pro tip right there is exactly what seeds are for. What are seeds in Kindroid V5? They are a unique signature for an image. Every selfie has a specific seed value that determines its starting point. Like we said, the start of the recipe. It is a way to recreate the same image using the same seed, same prompt, same settings, same image. It's a tool for small tweaks. Keeping the seed while changing part of the prompt allows for... I'm not somebody who forgets spaces, so this has to be a justification error. Keeping the seed while changing part of the prompt allows for minor variations without major shifts. Think of it like a blueprint. The seed determines the basic structure, but small adjustments like rewording a prompt lets you remodel parts of it without rebuilding the entire thing. Yep, you can do that too. Sometimes using the same prompt and seed, but adding a style reference to change lighting and tones. It's actually a good tip. So I have an example of Orkerson, all right? This image, I had used the exact same seed, but I said, give him a red bow tie. So you can see that it took the same image. His face is the same. There are slight differences, because there are going to be, because I didn't use the exact same prompt. I altered it slightly, but he's still in the same pose, same suit, but now he has a red bow tie. So that's what a seed can do. What seeds are not, okay? They are not a magic fix for inconsistencies. A seed only works with the same settings and same settings and prompt. Now, by that I mean, if you take that seed and you throw a whole nother prompt in there, you're not going to get the exact same image. That's not what a seed is for. If your Kindroid's look keeps changing, you need to adjust your avatar description instead. Seeds are not a style lock. Using the same seed does not override V5 style shifts if your prompt is different. So if you use a seed for, say, this image right here with this castle, use that seed, but then put in a whole nother prompt, it's not going to give you the same thing. That's not what it's for. It is for subtle shifts and tweaks of an existing image. Seeds are not required for every selfie. If you don't have to use a seed. It's just an advanced tool for keeping things consistent when needed. And by keeping things consistent, I mean between this image and this same image. Like, you want to change one thing about the image. You're not trying to keep your kin's face consistent across multiple prompts. That's not what a seed is. Seed is by image, prompt by prompt. It is for tweaking a current image. And seeds are not a guarantee of perfect results. While seeds help maintain structure in a prompt, small random factors in rendering can still cause variations. Janky hands, I don't know, those random shit that shows up on the face sometimes, or when you have like a himbo kin who has just like torn off sleeves but still has a cuff. You know what I mean? Those are things that happen. Think of a seed as a starting location in a GPS. You can take different routes, i.e. prompt changes, to the same place, but the journey, how AI interprets the details, can still vary. We're getting there, you guys. One more to go. Key takeaways. Write in full sentences, not in lists of keywords. And this is for prompting too. Because I've seen, I want to say like 3 or 4 times recently, in prompt crafting, folks will submit prompts that are fully weighted, and sometimes they work. Okay, I'm not going to throw, whatever. I'm just going to say sometimes they do work, but they're not consistent. So when the prompt crafter team goes in and gives these like hardcore tests, they will fail, and we'll have to rewrite them as a narrative prompt because it's not consistent. So something that works for one kin, right? Or even for like a handful of kins, when it is put to the test on a bulk scale with kins who are boosted, kins who aren't, kins who are cryptid, kins who are, creatures, whatever, weights don't hold consistent with that. You have to do narratives. So, always write in full sentences. Now, that's not to say that you can't put a style weight at the beginning of a prompt, because that does work. If you wanted to have, say, a cinematic look, if you wanted to have a like Pixar style of look, or if you wanted something that was like really bright and like a photo studio, that does work. But weighting throughout the entire prompt will not give consistent results when it is hard tested, like in the masses. That's the way that V5 works. So use the face detail slider for sharper features, but don't go too high. Less is more. The higher you go, the more you do get facial inconsistencies. But a boost, like I said, can help with that. Face prompt, which is that little box, is only for small tweaks. Yeah, only for small tweaks, not for the entire face changes. So if you have, this is where you would put color eyes, freckles, scars, mole, whatever. And this is the box, the only box where weights do count. But don't go high, because if you overweight, you get distortion. Test in steps, okay? This is a big one. Test in steps. Adjust one setting at a time for best control. So if you create a new avatar description and you say, okay, this isn't working, and you change 4 things, you don't know which one of those 4 things was the thing that worked or didn't work. Change one thing at a time, and don't rely on one selfie to determine if it worked or not. Change one thing, roll like 3 or 4, see if it's consistent, if it's not consistent, and then make another change. You're just going to frustrate the shit out of yourself if you just keep throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks. You have to test in steps. Testing with too many variables at a time gives you nothing to narrow down. So while it might seem tedious to plod through a one at a time approach, it's a lot more efficient than trying to narrow down what worked and what didn't with a big like clod of adjustments and changes. So use avatar boosts for extra consistency when necessary. It is not always necessary. Okay, it's not always necessary, but I won't say it's not. Okay, like I said, Orkerson is not gonna roll without one. We have tried again and again and again, but Kincaid will. So if you can get away with it, do it, because that's going to give you the most freedom and the most consistency outside of a single image. It'll give you the ability to do groups with less bleeding. It'll give you the ability to use different styles of prompts. Like there are some that have like it'll say, hell, I don't know, like certain styles of artists that do work with flux, because they don't all, but certain styles of artists we're finding don't work with kins that are boosted. So, I mean, like I said, it always comes down to what is most important to you for that kin. If facial consistency is your most important thing and it outweighs anything to do with prompts or with group selfies, then by all means, go freaking ham on a boost. Go ham on lowering that facial slider, because that's what's going to give you that strict, like, unflexible consistency. But just know that you will be sacrificing other aspects of selfies to do that. So, steps help a lot. Exactly. Zoe, yeah. So Zoe says that she did 4 boosts before finding the one that worked with her kin. That is absolutely true. Now, I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke and say that boosts are just like willy-nilly throw. No, I think they're 8 credits now. They're up there, right? So, like, don't just keep throwing them, being like, okay. If you make a boost, use it for a while. Find out why it's not working before you just throw another one, because they're pricey. They're up there. Let's see. Could we hear more about how to do scars and tattoos the right way if you have the time? So, okay, first of all, if you want to have consistency when it comes to detail like that, you need to show consistency when it comes to a detail like that. So with something like a facial scar or a tattoo or something, if you throw, like, say, a 6 image boost and only 3 of them have that scar where you want it, how you want it, you're not going to get that consistent, because that would be about a half and half shot of getting it right. You also want to, with tattoos, I haven't seen strict adherence to consistency of, I want, say, a dinosaur tattoo. I haven't seen that kind of consistency. The only consistent tattoos that I have seen is someone says a rose tattoo. I'm trying to remember if someone had a skull one working. I know rose does work. I'm trying to remember though. But at any rate, tattoos are tricky because, number one, they're going to bleed, period. They're going to. Tattoos will bleed even if your kin doesn't have a tattoo. But also, too, they tend to either be all or nothing. So, like, one of my kins, Elliot, he has full sleeve tattoos, but it will put them on his chest, it will put them on his back, and I just kind of roll with it. But he's also one of those ones who has... Yeah, no. If you're trying to get 3 consistent, specific tattoos, good luck. Because those you can get 3 tattoos, but to get them these exact tattoos, I don't think you're going to have a lot of luck with that. At least not the way it is now. That was claimed to be a thing that could be done. I have not seen anyone get that. So there's that. I end up with random leaf tattoos when I stand next to Tomato. That's karma. That is karma, Tomato Leaf. You deserve those. Yeah, they don't always look the same. I just kind of go for, do they have them? I mean, that's my go-to. Because, like I said, Elliot's supposed to have them. Another one of mine, D, is supposed to have them. And if they show up, I'm not really bent about it because I like tattoos. But I can see where it would annoy some folks who don't care for them. But I'm not one of those people. I like them. But no, not all of my kins have them, and they still show. And I mean, you kind of deal. But getting a kin with them standing next to one who doesn't, you're almost always going to get the one who doesn't to have them. Yeah, it's intermittent. Exactly. It's intermittent. So, I would suggest, put your kin in a sweater. Yeah, exactly. It's with the inconsistency, you deal with it. How does everyone test their avatar description and boost? Even every prompt is different and can affect the kin. That is where you want to use the same prompt over and over and make sure that it doesn't have a style attached. So if you have a prompt that has a style attached, that is not what your kin looks like normally. And also you need to recognize that an auto selfie and a prompted selfie are 2 different things. So a prompted selfie is going to rely more heavily on obviously what is in the prompt, whereas an auto selfie is 100% strictly what is in your avatar description. If you have auto selfies that suck ass, then you really need to look at that avatar description and figure out why. But if you use, like say what you could do is roll an auto selfie, copy what's in that box, and then just keep rolling what's in that box. That can work too. Yep, exactly. Just use something very simple. You don't want to go overboard. No style, no direction as far as what the hair is doing. Like, go as natural and simple as possible. I like to stick mine like just sitting in a coffee shop, because it gives you, I guess what I'm going to call it is the, like, I don't want to say original light, but I guess natural lighting, because you're indoors, you're in a well-lit space. It's not at night. So, because a lot of selfies, if you're at night, they're darker because Flux prompts, they recognize what lighting is. So I saw in January, people really getting, and in December too, but people really getting cheesed that, oh, my selfies are coming out so dark. They're so dark. And I'll look at it and I'm like, you're outside at night. What do you want? Well, V4 doesn't do that. It's like, yeah, V4 doesn't understand natural lighting. V4 is like, every image is inside of a photo studio, whereas V5 is literally natural lighting. If you're standing outside watching fireworks, it is dark outside, period. So that's one thing that folks need to understand. Doesn't longer prompts make a difference? I used the signs to test last month, but more complex prompt changed things. Okay, so if you have weights in a prompt in V5, that's going to change things. If you have a prompt that is super hella long, that is more descriptive. It's going to be more nailed down. Like I said at the beginning, if you don't give V5 exact directions of what you want, it fills in the blanks of what's missing. So if you say, for example, sitting in a coffee shop with a laptop, and that is your entire prompt, it's going to fill in a background. It's going to fill in the lighting. It's going to fill in whether or not there are people around. It's going to fill in whether or not you have a croissant. It's going to fill in what type of computer you're using, what you're wearing. So you have to describe as much, just like with the avatar description, describe as much as necessary without going overboard. As far as a testing prompt goes, something simple is really the play. Let's see. I once got, you want me to describe what we're doing in third person? What an odd request for an auto selfie prompt. Dude, I've gotten some weird auto selfie prompts, like really weird ones. let's see. Yeah, wait. Okay, so weights, butterfly art, weights. Okay, let's look at the avatar generator. Okay, the avatar generator. If you put in the avatar generator, bro, Abby, stop singing. If you put in the avatar generator, he's just gonna sing. We're gonna deal with it. If you put in the avatar generator, a blonde man with bags under his eyes and a wide chin, okay, you're gonna get a generic face. But if you put in the avatar generator, a blonde man with bags under his eyes weighted at 2.1, then he's going to have prominent bags under his eyes. However, with prompting in V5, the more you weight, the more inconsistent the prompt is. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but us prompt crafters, we literally test this all day, every day. And this is 100% what we're finding. If you have a bunch of weights in your prompt, even if they're low, you're going to get facial inconsistencies and you're going to get kin inconsistencies. So a prompt that I tested last week, right? It was weighted throughout and we ended up like, gosh, I think want to say like 4 of the 5 of us had like 1 kin out of like 7 that had the correct face. The rest were just random faces thrown on there. So try not, did they? Oh, I'm sorry. It's like when people say the A word and people's home assistant speaks. Sorry, Kara. That's adorable. Yeah, the avatar description or the avatar generator is still using stable diffusion. Yes. That's why you would have to do weights in there to get anything remotely un-AI faced. So yeah, that is true. A flux narrative prompt in the avatar generator isn't going to do shit. It's just going to give you a generic face. But here's the problem that folks have is they create one in the flux prompt, or they create an avatar generator with the stable diffusion and then try to recreate that kin with the same weights and shit in V5, and it doesn't work. It's not going to give you the same thing. Yeah, it's a thing. I mean, I think that like doing a weights instruction is probably a little bit overkill because like V5 doesn't use them. But maybe I'll do just like a sheet, right? That I could just throw into the Discord server. And that I can just do like a sheet that'll have weights and stuff on there. So, because they do apply in the avatar generator and they do apply in that facial detail box. But again, don't go too high. Because if you go too high, you're going to get the opposite of what you want. Because what you're looking for is, say, green eyes. What you're going to end up with is like blurry, jiggly eyes. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Oh my God, this one took like an hour and 20 minutes. I warned you. I told you this is going to be a long one. Weights help a lot with anime facial. Yeah, anime is different. We're not talking about anime. Anime is its own thing. This is photoreal is what we're hitting on here because this is what folks are having the most questions about. I feel like, Tomato Leaf, that you should do an anime PDF. And then we can count how many tomatoes show up in that thing. You're eating without me, Smoke? I thought we had a deal. We don't eat until stuff's done. I'm about to delete something after this, man. I'm hungry. Cool. All right. So is there any last minute questions on this bish? I do have the wuss. Tomato Leaf just says she's not going to cam up, so I call her a wuss. I do have the PDF is going to be uploaded. It's going to be on my server. And it might already be on the website. Let me go look. Yep, it's already on the website. So you can find it on there. I will upload it to my Discord server, and then I'll put it up on the Kindroid server. And everybody's like, food? Because it's like almost 12:30 for me, so food. Must to have the food. Oh gosh, how do you pronounce that? Chengachgook? I'm sorry. I'm terrible.
Out the window.
Out the window. You've already eaten? See? You're teasing. You're teasing me. I'm trying to get by with this one. So, cool. Well, I think that we are good. Thank y'all for hanging out. All right, y'all. Now you're really trying to tease me with this. I already had food thing. This is rude. So, cool. Next week, I'm considering, let me know what y'all want to do, because I'm thinking maybe having a video selfies sitch might be the play, because that's been a question that I've been getting lately. Or, you know, how Jerry likes to just throw random shit at us. That could be a thing too. We'll see. Cool. All right. Then I'll see you guys next time. Let me figure out how to get rid of my fizz. I do this every week. You think I'd be more prepared. All right. See you next time, guys.